Okay, so Planet of Lana is this side-scrolling kind of platformer that dropped, I want to say a month ago, maybe or so. It's on Game Pass, so you boys can go and play it right now if you wanted to. I think this thing looks beautiful. I think this soundtrack so far is one of the stronger contenders of the year. It very much plays, feels, and is indebted to the Inside/Limbos of the world, in that it's quite heavy. It's got that sort of like early 2D Prince of Persia sort of feel to it in the way that you kind of stop, but you don't kind of stop on the spot. You kind of have like half a second before your character stops, and the way the kind of jumping and the movement works has that kind of heaviness to it. It's doing a lot of the kind of, like, okay, here's a high ledge, I need to drag a box over to it to jump on that, and then, jump onto the ledge and carry on. You have sections where there's an enemy and you have to figure a way to get around it because it's, your character doesn't have any combat. So it's a case of either I need to find something to fall on top of this enemy, or I need to find a way to get around it without being spotted. Early on in the game, you find this companion who's this kind of small, we'll say a cat-like creature that you can use commands to get it to stop, to get it to follow you, and then, you can use it to have the creature stop on a specific spot that then triggers something over here to happen, and you kind of work together to progress. It's one of those things where it's so indebted to its influences that if you're someone like me who's played Inside and Limbo, as I'm playing the game, it's kind of like watching a wrestling match where you can call the spots before they happen. It's kind of a thing here where I can see the level design playing out even before it happens, just because I played those two games. So I think if you have never played those games, and you want something that feels like them, but isn't quite reaching so heavily into the body horror that Inside does in its final third act, I think that this is a really kind of a solid approach to being introduced to those types of games, but kind of slightly more pleasant and very, like it does a lot of the kind of parallax scrolling where you've got layers to the 2D background, where they've clearly got like one layer, then another layer, and they move at different speeds, and it's all really well presented and put together. I think the production values on this thing, it's really worth, even if you sort of check out for like half an hour to an hour or so, just to get a flavour of how it looks and it sounds, I think is really worth checking out. I think it's only about 4 or 5 hours long. That's how long to beat says on the Xbox Game Pass thing. And yeah, it's on Game Pass, so I'd say at least just give it a quick look. And if you're into Inside and Limbo and those sorts of games, then this definitely scratches that itch. But I think it scratches it just a little bit too hard, because. And I'm only, I'd say, about an hour to an hour and a bit in, so there's, I think, still plenty of time for it to show off some stuff that might not be as familiar, but it's not progressed any of the puzzles in a way yet where I'm like seeing anything that I haven't seen before. So that's Planet of Lana.
I feel like, because I played Limbo but not Inside, but I played Gree a couple of years ago, which is...
Never played that one.
It's a very similar thing where it's just like, it looks and sounds very pleasant, it's very artful, but then when it comes down to it, like the platforming level design just isn't very interesting. So it's the kind of thing where you dip your toe in, like appreciate the art of it all, but it's like, as a game, it's just kind of like blah.
Yeah, and I don't know how long Gree was, but I think with Planet of Lana, like that sort of 4 hour length or so, I'm like happy to get to the end of it, because it's like, that's an afternoon sitting if I want it to be, or at least 2 sessions, which I think is okay. If it was like a 12-hour game and after about an hour or two I wasn't feeling like the design was progressing in any way, I'd probably say, right, I've kind of seen what I needed to see with this. But again, it's on Game Pass, so I'd say at least give it a quick check.